style.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. So, compliment strangers. That's a nice neighbor. Yeah, he likes the style, man. No shoes, you already know. You know, barefoot's the future. I think we should go primal. Let's think ancient. Let's think into the past. Let's think how were we living when we had shelter in caves? Now we're building shelters that are super interesting, right? Look at the Industrial Revolution up there, going at it, making big, tall structures. We just stack each other up. You know, I need to find a cave. Yeah, this giant glacier across from me, very beautiful. You know, beautiful glacier. Love the architecture. I'm being facetious. So, whoa, all these flies. I like the gnats. The gnats, they're filled with protein, actually. When I first arrived in Zambia, Africa as a Peace Corps volunteer, they had us eating caterpillars. I'll never forget that. I was sitting across from you know, other Americans eating caterpillars. One of them was like, I was struggling, you know, like I was gnawing on it. I was chewing it, like really a weird texture to eat a caterpillar. And I did not like it. They were slimy and gross. And I'll never forget, the person across from me was eating it, and I was like, she's like, oh, this is pretty good. Like everyone, I felt like everyone was pretending. Like they were all like, oh, this is pretty good, you know, it's not that bad. I'm like, guys, this is a slimy disaster. And a few months later, in my village, this lady came into the village. I was sitting out, just finished dinner, chatting, practicing Ichibemba with my host family, and the lady came home with a bucket on her head full of fresh grasshoppers or crickets. Like, what's the difference between these insects? Grasshoppers, right? And so she just threw them in a pot. They were alive, right? She threw them in a pot. She just picked them as she was harvesting the maize for the harvest season. She threw them in the hot boiling pot, and I guess just added some salt. And yeah, I sat on the porch and I was eating the grasshoppers. They were pretty good, right? Like the grasshoppers, maybe because the grasshoppers hop around, they actually, you know, they felt satisfying. They felt kind of like meaty. Like honestly, like the grasshoppers weren't that bad. Like the grasshoppers actually had like this meaty sort of texture or flavor or whatever that actually, you know, it made it tolerable in a way. And you know, I think there's something to be said about that. You know, where the sun is just beautiful. Like I wish that the sun was this way, facing me. Can I just move it? Position the sun there. Can I have that power to just manipulate light? Oh, I have that power. I wield a camera. This is the magical black box that allows me to paint with light. Yeah, perhaps that's ultimately what photography is, right? But yeah, maybe there's something to be said about the grasshoppers, right? And they're moving around, they're hopping around. Yeah, they make for a good eat. And similarly, when I was in the Palestinian city Jericho, primarily every single day, I would eat pigeon as my protein source, right? I would eat pigeon, living amongst this family. Lowest elevated city in the world, the road from Jerusalem to Jericho. What an interesting venture that was. So yeah, when I was eating pigeon every day, I grown to admire it. I grown to really appreciate it. And I find that even just studying the patterns of pigeons, the way in which they move and dance, especially here in Philadelphia, where we have so many pigeons, yeah, I can't help but to just admire their beauty, photograph them every day, and appreciate the taste, right? Because of the movement of the pigeon and the way that they fly, and they're very fast. You know, maybe that makes the meat taste a little bit better. Maybe there's more protein as opposed to chicken. You know, where chicken, you know, chicken's just sort of like milling around, pecking at the grass, pecking at the seeds. Bark, 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 bark. It's like, do you want to be a little chicken shit? You know, like, I want to be a majestic pigeon flying into the distance. I don't want to be a chicken. You know, you are what you eat. So maybe it's better to eat pigeons and crickets. More of the story. So maybe we will start seeing these trees blooming with leaves soon enough, as I don't know, what is it, around the end of March something, or is it March? What is February, March, April, May? Yeah, it's March. Time's weird. I tend to just like go off the grid, you know, to just not think about time or check the time or have any sort of relationship with time itself. I kind of just like going with the flow. You know, here, there's the sun. Sun's up. Time to be outside. Sun goes down. Okay, time to go inside. Very simple. Rise with the sun. Sleep with the sunset. Yeah, what is the thought of the day? Disconnect. You know, we live in this modern world now, this brave new digital world, especially with the advent of social media and these sort of technologies like the phone, where we are so connected and disconnected at the same time, which I believe is just this like strange conundrum. And it's like, how do we solve this? What is the solution? Honestly, I find that going off the grid with your thoughts and with your mode of living and operating is a really liberating thing to do in this day and age, where there's so much conformity and sort of normalcy, to the point at which everything is kind of bland and boring and the same. It's like, okay, we have unlimited hedonistic pleasures, we can do whatever we want, you know, we can, you know, eat as many yummy foods as we want, watch as many amazing TV shows as you want, right? We can sit back and eat a steak and watch My 600-Pound Life. You know, I actually recently just saw the show and was flipping through the TV channels to see what's going on while away in Miami for a few days visiting family, just to see. And this is just like a sad show. I don't know why it's on television. The craziest kicker is the doctor that administers them, like the dieting plan, and I guess is like a surgeon, like a fat loss surgeon. That guy is fat. It's just like weird. It's like, why would you take advice from this man and follow his plan? So yeah, I think that with all these television shows, movies, YouTubes, social medias and things, it really takes us out of reality. You know, what is reality? I suppose reality being physical flesh, you know, face-to-face contact, your body, you know, the things that make up our physiology and our biology, you know, these things are real. And I think we shouldn't forget about it. Perhaps the more we forget about this and the more we embrace modernity, yeah, maybe from there we have shows like this 600-Pound Life, right? That's like the reality now, where we kind of deny the body in pursuit of pleasure, you know, where maybe suffering is necessary in order to thrive, you know, a little bit of pain, a little bit of gains. And you really don't have to do much to, I believe, thrive. You know, the suffering can be, you know, minimal. It doesn't have to be so drastic. You know, even just, I don't know, just walking barefoot. I find that, you know, to me, they're more comfortable than shoes, but however you do, you know, you callus up your feet. They become stronger. You fix your posture. You have no more back pain. You sort of like embrace the pain at first of overcoming this like new way of living where you no longer have that thick sole in between you and the ground. You know, that sort of buffer that we've grown so accustomed to, which provides a sense of comfort. But removing that, now my calves are increasing in size, right? My muscles are getting stronger, and I'm able to walk for longer distances. And yeah, I mean, with a little bit of suffering comes joy, ultimately bliss. This feeling of bliss I find in the most physical sense, you know, where it really is this physical pleasure of enduring pain. Even considering weightlifting, there's like that blissful feeling of euphoria that you get through the lifting of weights and doing these kind of things. You know, this is a really really great, you know, thought. Maybe instead of pursuing happiness, just pursue and focus all of your attention to increasing your strength, and maybe the blissful sort of feeling you're seeking is inevitable. And so with this off the grid life, I find that the dirt path is a really great place to be. You know, the variation in terrain, the different textures of the grass, and the sensation of the sun kissing your skin, the movement of your body, where you don't have to walk at a fast pace. You know, it's not a race, right? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint kind of thing, right? You know, however, you know, maybe you know, maybe it's better to live a short and fulfilling life than a long and dull life, right? Like, just thinking of, like, imagine living until you're 120, and, you know, you just sort of live comfortably. You have, like, you know, you just keep buying things. You have, like, you just keep, you know, get the new car, get the new phone, get the bigger and better house, the bigger TV, and sort of just, you know, spend the 120 years of your life pain-free, sort of pursuing pleasure and comfort, maybe just sending some emails, operating a computer. You know, maybe you have to replace the wah-wah bird flying by, the wah-wah bird going to the sky, so high, high up in the sky. Well, look at these that I behold with my eye. The beautiful leaves are starting to bloom. I'm telling you, spring is coming soon. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. And so, yeah, maybe you'll have to, like, replace, you know, your source of vitamin D from the sun right there with a pill, right? A vitamin D pill is the replacement. I don't know. With the news and all these things and celebrity gossip that's going on in the world, why care? Why follow it? What is the deal with that? You know, why are we so interested as a society now with other people? Why do we focus our attention to the lives of others? I think maybe there's an identity crisis happening where we perhaps put all of the eggs in the basket of, I am this, I am that, right? I am a doctor, I am a lawyer, I am a physician, whatever you are, you know, that's not you. And that's what I'm starting to realize at scale is we've become so comfortable with this, I don't know, like, you know, identity of productivity, of working, of toiling, and a lack of passion and interest in something greater. My left hand throw is in need of some sharpening. I need to start throwing more rocks with my left hand. Perhaps I should become, what is the word, ambidextrous? I should be able to photograph with my left hand as well. But the Ricoh doesn't allow that. I like to hold the Ricoh and shoot with my middle finger on the shutter a lot, and then I put my index finger on top, my thumb on the bottom, and this allows for me to rotate the camera from horizontal to vertical orientation faster, and so it allows for more flexibility with my photography. And yeah, I think just photographing everything, right? Decide for yourself what makes or breaks a good photo. I don't think there's anything that makes a perfect photo or a good photo. If anything, what happens at scale with photography and art in general is there's this path to mediocrity that's extremely easy to succumb to and to follow and to adhere to when sharing your photographs and your art on social media, right? It's very easy, honestly, probably, it's to just accrue a large following of numbers and people that admire your work. But maybe they're kind of, that's not the audience you want to cater to anyways. It's like, what is the value of even accruing, these millions of people that are liking and following you and your work or whatever? Like, I think that's the last thing that we should sort of seek as artists, is like fame and recognition and these kind of things. If anything, like when it comes to like success and like what makes a successful photo, what makes a successful this or that, I think honestly it's just being in this pure state of curiosity and just continuously propelling yourself into the unknown and just tinkering and exploring. Where I thrive on this sort of brink between creation and destruction and then rebuilding again, it seems. And I find it to be a really good place to be as a creative person. But this whole identity thing, right? It's like, should we even identify as artists or photographers or whatever? It's like, I think a better identity is Spartan. So yeah, if somebody asks you, oh, what do you do? Just respond to them. How? And just confuse them. Just tell them you identify as Spartan. And just have fun. Because honestly, the life that we live is so short, where it's like any chance I have to just be myself, whatever that, be me to the fullest, express myself openly to the fullest, just speak my truth, speak the truth. What is my truth? What is the truth? I don't think there is any, right? There's only your unique individual perspective, and perhaps to share your point of view, your perspective is the goal of an artist. And so I find that by sharing my perspective raw and candidly allows me to become free in a sense. And I find that to be a good place to be, right? Where if I've tasted freedom, right? What's interesting is freedom is under the thatched roof, right? Slavery, it's under the ivory tower, it's under marble and gold. I find that the idea of freedom that we hold so nearly and dearly to our heart here in America, I mean, who knows? I guess, America is certainly, a dominating force in the world. The American Empire, the Roman Empire. But yeah, I mean, if you start to read the scratchings on the wall and the scribblings and remnants that people leave behind, on the graffiti walls, yeah, it's kind of unsettling just to read and see. But that's why I find that being off the grid, disconnecting from any sort of mainstream narratives of what's going on in the world, celebrity god, like all these things that really doesn't fucking matter. What matters is what's right in front of you, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your family. What's going on is, like, this city is so big and so small at the same time. We're so connected and so disconnected at the same time. We're Philadelphia. I find this is a beautiful city. I don't need a car. Fuck cars. I don't want to drive a car. I can walk everywhere. I can make this my own little paradise, where this is Rome. This is the new Rome. Check it out. We got the Philadelphia Museum of Art up there. Beautiful architecture, great natural spaces here along the river. But the city itself, and it doesn't have to just be Philadelphia, it could be any city. is succumbing to an authority that doesn't have anything really to do with the individual. And when living under a thatched roof, you know, no electricity, you have to shit in a hole. You know, you have to, you know, go to the field and get your own crops and, you know, barter with other people and, you know, pray under the same church and speak, you know, the language of your tribe. You know, that's where I found me as I mostly thrived. Like, I thrived and was the happiest, whatever, like the most interesting lifestyle, the most interesting, or not even the most interesting, just the most fruitful experience truly was in the village, in Zambia, under a tribe, you know, under one family, like one tribe, one family, right? Like the village. Everyone had a role to play, you know, like the mother would come home with sticks on her head and babies on her back. The men, you know, would then be building homes, building churches, you know, preparing a new space for animal husbandry. The boys would be building bricks for the father, and the girls were preparing the food and the meals for the day, sweeping the floors, keeping the area clean. You know, everyone in the village, everybody in the family, ultimately, in the tribe, had a role to play, and everybody sort of thrives together this way. Where to me, when I observe the city, when I see what's going on in Philadelphia, it doesn't, I think nothing really seems to be happening. And yeah, maybe there's something, like, I'm really thankful and grateful to have that experience living off the grid, like actually off the grid. You know, I don't desire, like, I like society, right? I love the city, I love the chaos, don't get me wrong. By the way, who is this guy? Look, the pigeons. Who is that man? Yeah, I don't know, the more I disconnect, you know, the more social I actually become, right? Where it's like a simple thing is, yeah, maybe just leave the phone at home, go out, explore, you know, smell the flowers, touch the grass, like listen to the sound of the birds, you know, like all of these simple things maybe we're starting to lose touch of in cities and modern life in general. And I just, you know, I can't help but to ponder about it, to think about it, to consider it. You know, it's just my perspective here, my thoughts, whatever. Just spitballing with the GoPro Mini, 1080p, 30 FPS, exported to 720p because I love me a good small file size. Coming up here along this beautiful elevated space, you can see the waterfall, the boathouses, the woods, where I spent my childhood building teepees in the Wissahickon back there. I would run around those paths and woods, and I find it's calling my name every day. But I stay mentally off the grid and physically on it. As William Penn had a plan, he laid out the streets for me to walk on repeat and observe all of the chaos in the city and ultimately articulate it, make sense of it, and create wonderful works of art. From a state of abundance and pure joy, I find perhaps even instead of considering make art from a state of pure joy, where I find that's probably a much more interesting place to be, like this state of abundance and joy. Perhaps strong artists make strong art, right? Strong photographers, strong photos. Yeah, maybe instead of considering good or bad, is it strong, is it weak? Just increase strength, forget about happiness, And yeah, I think that's where we can thrive. Strength. Oh, and create your own Rocky movie. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Treat every day like it's your last thought, your last video, your last photo. What is your profession?